Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for all the DMs and comments. Been another crazy week, and I'm back for my second how to invest in comics. As I noted in my very first one, this is some guy in a basement giving advice, so always take everything with a grain of salt. Hopefully it's somewhat entertaining, and maybe you learn something too. But let's get right to it. So, I think the title says everything. I am of the opinion that flipping comics is just not that productive. And let me, some people may disagree with me there, and that's okay, but let me talk about it a little bit. Let's dig in. So first of all, let me define it. So flipping, in my mind, is buying a comic and then selling it again within, a week or 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month. And productive is really, well, in terms of investment and whatnot, make as much money with as little time and effort as possible. Let me first say that if you find a comic that you know is worth, a bunch of money, and you find it for $5, you buy it and you flip it, of course that's going to work. That makes sense. On the other hand, I think what we're talking about here and what I'm talking about is more of like a formula or system. Hey, I'm going to buy 10 books and I'm going to flip them every week and I'm going to make some money doing it. And I have found that, I've tried it, I have found that to be pretty difficult. And let me tell you why. First, what do you buy? You don't know. If you're looking at our favorite app, and we know which one, it does highlight some of the books, but that means everybody is going after those as well. But even then, a lot of those books, you might buy them for cover. As we know, they might jump to $10, they might jump to $20. But really, that's really all they do. Now, a couple of them occasionally jump higher, but as we know, that's 1 in 20. So if you're doing quick numbers, if you're spending, let's say you spend $5 a book, I know pre-order and shipping and all this other stuff, but let's just, for easy math, $5 a book, and you buy 10 books a month, 12 months, so that would be $600 a year. Okay, so let's do some quick math, and I did look at a specific book, and let's talk about the 2020, last year. So if you look at the numbers, there's a bunch of books, as we well know, that are worth probably $1 now. And there are a couple that are worth more. So some of the Venom had their day. Strange Academy 1 still is a valuable book, but it's not a $1,000 book. It's maybe $20, $50. The really big one for last year is, of course, Something is Killing the Children. And that one, raw, I just looked, was selling on eBay for around $600. So if you look at the numbers, you could say, hey, this is great. If I spent, in our little example here, if I spent $600 a year, I have one comic that's worth $600, I would make all my money back, and boom, anything else is gravy. Unfortunately, this is where the flipping hurts you, and I know because I actually sold that book too early. So it's worth $600 now, but it wasn't worth $600 after a month, after 2 months, after 5 months. It took a long time for that book. Now, it was hot, but it's only gotten hotter, as we well know. And so if you, like I, sold after a couple weeks and was like, wow, I can sell this for $50, I bought it for $5. That's great, you made good profit, but you didn't make the $600. And what you find is that if you sell a number of the comics, maybe even 20 to 1, so that would be, $100, there, as we know, just not that many books in a year that go crazy like that. So if you held them long term, then you would still have the Something is Killing Children, and you could sell it potentially for $600. And so that's really what I have learned, is that, and once again, I break my own rules, I do what I want. I mean, this is a hobby, right? We're having fun doing this. But for the most part, it has been my experience to hold the books longer, but it's pretty difficult to try to make any type of good money when you're buying 10 books. You're able to sell a couple of them for $10 or $20, and you got to pay those eBay fees and PayPal fees and all kinds of other fees. You really need to find that one comic or two comics that are a home run. So really, $200-$300 raw we're talking about here, which is very uncommon, as we know, that pays for almost all your comics for the year, and then the rest you can make a profit on. And from the perspective of this example that we have in terms of productivity, so you've doubled your money, you've made $600. It's a lot of work for $600. Maybe you should have got another job on the side for $10 to $15, work for a month and then quit. But that's no fun. We know that. This is a hobby, that's why we're doing it and whatnot. But let me add one other thing. What happens if you were to scale it? So hey, I could do not $50 a month, I could do $200 a month, et cetera, et cetera. And my response to that would be, if you do scale, you're basically becoming a bookstore, a comic book store, which is nothing wrong with that. If you want to start your own comic book store, that's great. Sometimes maybe that's what we're all trying to do. I don't know. But it's a whole different game, and I'm sure you can talk to a lot of shop owners, where you're going to put the inventory, how are you going to find new customers, who's going to pack up all these things, do you need insurance? I mean, it's a totally different game once you move to scale, and now you're in business. Do you need employees? And so now you're not a hobbyist like me and some of the people watching this. Now you're a business owner, which there's nothing wrong with that. I certainly know a lot about that, but it's a different game. So that's kind of my conclusions on flipping. I would say try to hold and enjoy the collecting. Thanks a lot. Take care.